I love watching elephants when they're in a file like this, whether they're coming or going from the waterhole. It's always just lovely to watch. So Real Greens was saying it would be rewarding to identify the bird calls we are hearing live. Okay, Real Greens, I'll do my best across the whole show to pinpoint the bird calls and identify them for you as best I can. So the one that we're hearing now the most, it's a very croaky little call. Well, there's a few now. There's a yellow-breasted apellis that's doing what we call the techno dance. Tweet, 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 tweet. So yellow-breasted apellis. There's also a chin spot batters calling, but it's a little bit of a croaky part of its call. Normally they do the three blind mice, but in this case it's a bit of a quack, quack. He's doing a funny part of his call, not his usual full dialect. And we must also remember that in different parts or different game reserves, the birds will have different dialects. It's almost like English. If we look at the language of English spoken around the world, and then even just, from where it originates, in the United Kingdom, from England to Wales to Scotland to Ireland, everybody having a very different accent. Although they're speaking the same language, sometimes you wouldn't think so. And it's similar, probably not quite as far with the birds, but different parts of Africa will have the same bird species, however with slightly different dialects. And so sometimes you can hear different parts of the call in different parts of Africa coming from the exact same bird. And in this case, it seems like here in Madikwe, the chinspot batis likes this croaky part of its call, whereas in the greater Kruger, you'll hear them more so doing the three blind mice. So, but as we continue and I hear more birds, I'll identify them as well. Then Richard was saying, hello Ralph, has there ever been a recorded case of dwarfism in elephants? Now there have been, Richard, but I think it's mostly with the Asian elephant. It hasn't happened many times at all. I think there's only a couple of documented cases, as I say, and only in captivity too. However, according to Wikipedia, they speak of dwarf elephants that are prehistoric members of the order Proboscidae, which through the process of allopatric speciation on islands evolved much smaller body sizes, which were around 1 to 2.3 meters at the shoulder, in comparison with their immediate ancestors. Dwarf elephants are an example of insular dwarfism, the phenomenon whereby large terrestrial vertebrates, usually mammals, that colonize islands and evolve dwarf forms, a phenomenon attributed to adaptation to resource-poor environments and lack of predation and competition. The fossil remains of dwarf elephants have been found on the Mediterranean islands of Cyprus, Malta, Crete, Sicily, Sardinia, the Cyclades Islands, and the Dodocenese Islands, which are mostly members of the genus Paleoloxodon, descending from the large 4 meters tall mainland European species. And though two species represent dwarf mammoths, dwarf species of elephants and stegodon have been found on the islands of Indonesia and the Philippines. And the Channel Islands of California once supported a dwarf species descended from Columbian mammoths, while the woolly mammoths that existed on Wrangel Island north of Siberia were once considered dwarfs, but not anymore. So I think historically there were actually real dwarf elephants, but it's very, very rare that we get dwarfism in the wild populations of elephants. I've never seen one, and I've never seen any evidence of one either. So not to say that they don't exist, they do, but very, very rarely. All right, so while these elephants continue in their procession and leave us, I think we'll leave them too, and let's head to the Greater Kruger and Naledi Dam. It's that time of the day, 1 o'clock on the dot, and we've got lots of elephants about. It's always about the time, hey? So lots of clouds in the background, and those are looking quite ominous, as in there's potential for rain. So they definitely have a preference to drink out of this little well, because the waterhole itself, it's very muddy, and it's very dark mud as well. Full of clay, I think. Nice fresh water though in the well itself. And then that normally overflows into the little pan. So they normally have a bathe and splash in the pan itself, and then they drink from the nice fresh water in the well. So the youngster also going in for a drink there. Nice to see. So Joanne Mello commenting, saying Ellie's like to drink from the well water, must be colder or fresher. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner, Joanne, and that's where the water comes out. So you'll notice that all the different water holes, if it is being pumped and kept permanent, as a lot of them are, you'll see the elephants, and you can notice where the water comes out by where the favorite drinking spot is, because they're real water connoisseurs, and so they prefer nice, clean water if they can get it. They'll also go to where there's a pan where there's no influx of water. They'll go where it's freshest. See now, I think there's some water potentially being pumped in here currently. And the elephant's sort of taking it out as it's coming into the well. It does remind me of one of the safaris I took in Namibia, 4x4 camping safaris, exclusive all the way up into the northwestern wilderness. And we were at the Puros campsite, which is on the Huarusib River, one of the ephemeral rivers, an oasis in the desert, where the desert elephants occur. There's also desert lions and rhino there as well. But very rudimentary campsite. They do have donkey boilers to make the water hot in the showers. But it's just a couple of reeds in a circle and then a little shower head coming normally next to a tree. And one of the ladies went for a shower. It was the middle of the day. It was very hot, so it's going to be quite sticky. And so she went for a shower, and I was busy, I think, making lunch back at the vehicle at the camp. And suddenly I heard an almighty scream. And I ran in the direction that it came from, and I saw an elephant, and she had started to have a shower. She was having a cold shower because of how hot it was, and suddenly the water stopped, and she looked up, and there was a trunk sucking the water out of the shower head. And so she screamed. The elephant got a little bit of a fright, but went back and carried on drinking, and so she was sort of stuck in the little cubicle of reeds. And I just reassured her just to be calm, just to be quiet, and there would be no problems. The elephant drank its fill, and off it went. So she was a little bit nervous after that to go for a shower, but I always just used to tell her just to be calm, especially around elephants. And the only reason he was there was because there was some nice fresh water coming out. But imagine that. You're having a shower, and suddenly it stops. You look up, and there's an elephant stealing your water. Well, looks like there's some more arriving. Cute little youngsters amongst them as well. This is lovely close-ups too. Yeah, the shake of the head there, not too happy with the new arrivals. You can see concluding with a bit of a chase-off there. He wants the well to himself. And such a cute little youngster here, just behind mommy. And even more coming in. So Joanne Mello is saying the Ellie's ear is in the shape of Africa. Cool. Yeah, it absolutely is. And that's one of the ways of identifying the African elephant versus the Asian elephant. And it's quite apt that the African elephant's ears shaped like the map of Africa. So spot on, Joanne. And Mercedes Bean saying, Meanie, let that baby drink. Yeah, that male, I think, is a little bit of a bully, but it seems he got bullied off as well. So not a problem. The dynamics of the elephants just doing their thing. So you can also notice that this time of the year now, the elephants aren't partaking that much in the wallowing in the water and splashing about. It's more just drinking. I'm pretty sure you can also see it's overcast, and this time of the year it's cooled off quite a lot. So when they come to the waterhole, it's more just about quenching their thirsts than cooling off as such, because the temperature has dropped quite a bit. He's just pushing that little youngster out the way. A little bit of argy-bargy around as well. There's not much space for everybody. So Sandy was asking, can that baby Ellie's trunk even reach the water? Well, if it can't and it's not able to sort of suck water, then they would be predominantly drinking from mom anyway. So it's not the end of the world. It's getting all the water requirements it needs from its mother's milk. So up till, pretty much a year and more, they're not really able to use their trunk anyway. So it's still in the learning process, and they need to work out the muscle memory, enabling them to put their trunk in the water and suck It's quite funny to watch them try when they're not able to do it. It's like an out-of-control fire hydrant. But here it goes. It's having a go there, sort of getting up on the side of the well itself. Might have been able to reach. And Joanne Miller asking, Ralph, who would build the well in the park? It would normally be, in this part of the reserve. This is part of the Olifants West Game Reserve that has now become part of the Greater Kruger. So it would have been private land, probably still is, and the lodge that is near to here would have built this little waterhole, I'm sure. And then it does make it available for the elephants. And so there's, now it would be also under the custodianship of the sand parks. And they will also have a management plan for the whole of the Greater Kruger in terms of water point management, etc., and that there is enough permanent water for all of the animals, particularly elephants, with a high water requirement, and that it doesn't also concentrate them in areas that are susceptible to, lots of traffic. You wouldn't want the elephants concentrating in particular areas. It could be highly destructive. So as long as there's a good splattering of water holes all over the place, then at least they can spread out and not have to concentrate. So it's part of the bigger picture as well. Now, Carter was asking, why do they have to learn to use their trunks if things like ear flapping and tail swishing seem to be natural reflex? So, yes, Carter, that's a very good question and interesting, because the ear flapping, the tail swishing, it does seem to come naturally. But the same as with humans, babies can drink from their mother instinctively. They can also breathe. They can also poop. And so, there's some of these things that are instinctive and others they have to learn. The trunk everything is there. They just need to learn how to use it, when to move their trunk. Look at it now, you see. So in the first year or a little bit more, it's sort of lots of practice and playing around and just getting all those muscles working in the right places when it wants to. So initially, the brain isn't quite working as it should with the trunk. It's still working out how it must use it. So it's not really one of those fully instinctive things. To drink from the mother is fully instinctive, and they're able to. So when they're in that first year of age and they do want to drink water, they normally actually go down on their haunches and drink with their mouth out of the waterhole. But in this instance, a little bit of an unnatural waterhole with that well. If that baby really wanted water, it could go down, kneel down, and get some water out of the pan itself. But I'm pretty sure it's got all the requirements it needs from its mother's milk, even though it wants to copy, and that's how they learn as well. It's mimicking mom, mimicking the other ones, and you'll see as they grow, they'll not only mimic here around the water, also around feeding. They seem to copy the techniques of all the other adults. So if they're starting to graze on grass that are in big clumps, you'll see the elephants sort of circle their trunk around a clump of grass and they kick it with their foot to help it get it out of the ground. And I've watched some comical times with little babies mimicking the adults but not quite getting it right, often missing the clump of grass and falling over, or not quite grabbing it properly with the trunk and then sliding off of it as they kick it. So it all comes down to practice. And that muscle memory comes with time as well. The elephants can also walk within the first few hours after they're born, whereas humans, you know how long that takes. It can be, a year or more for babies to learn to walk. So there's a few things that they're ahead of us on, but others maybe not so. But I think they're probably in the lead, I would say. So Joanne Mello was saying, I saw a documentary once where there's a cave in Africa where ellies go for their salt intake. I forgot where in Africa, but it was awesome to watch. And I've just been doing a little bit of digging on that, Joanne, and I found on the Tsavo's Trust where they speak of the Ketum Cave Elephant, Mount Elgon's salt miners. And I think this is in Kenya, either in Kenya or Tanzania. And they say that buried underneath the border topping Mount Elgon is a cave that by night is the foraging ground for a group of mining elephants. The Ketum cave elephant have adapted to the mineral-poor environment surrounding Mount Elgon by mining for salt under the earth. The Ketum cave is an ancient lava tube formation stretching over 200 meters into the mountain's depths. It has long been used by human societies living on Mount Elgon's sloping bounds. Within the cave, there's evidence suggesting of its use as a shelter for local human communities and even as a site for ceremonial meetings. There's also plenty to suggest that this is and has lengthily been an elephant mine. Mount Elgon gets a lot of rain, so often does it rain there, and with such volume that despite the fact that volcanic areas are often mineral rich, Mount Elgon's slopes tend to lose their minerals to the rush of water. Inside the cave, however, the richness of the volcanic area's minerals is maintained. It is in the search of sodium-rich salts that the elephants of the area are encouraged to venture underground. The elephant, like many other animals, require minerals to maintain their physiological balance. Sodium, in particular, plays a crucial role in their diet. The 300 or so elephant that call Mount Elgon home often venture into Ketum Cave at night, looking for loose rock that will satisfy this crave for sodium. And the Ketum Cave elephants use their trunks to hoover up any loose rock that they find within the caves. And if they find none, they use a combination of their tusks and brute strength to break off sections of the cave's interior walls. In this way, the Mount Elgon herd has shaped Ketum Cave. The mark of their mining here is immediately obvious to anyone who goes inside. Furthermore, it's thought that the salt mine underneath Mount Elgon may serve some purpose in fostering of Mount Elgon's elephant society. The mineral-rich salt deposits act as a gathering spot, and they are thought to have long attracted different herds from the surrounding areas. And these congregations present opportunities for social interactions, mating, and the sharing of vital information about resources and territories. So thanks for that, Joanne. It's wonderful to learn something new, and of salt mining elephants in Kenya. Fantastic. Could it be that this impala ram literally chased those elephants off? Or had they just had enough? So then Diane from the UK was asking, at what age do elephants first give birth? So Diane, they can give birth, the females, from any age from about 12 or 13. That is very young. It's more so from about 15, 16 years of age, generally. Oh, another elephant on its way in. So Sandy Franklin, 69, say good morning, Ralph. It was nice to put a face with a voice when you were on safari. Yeah, so you must have seen me then on Amakala, Sandy Franklin. It was a nice couple of days. A little bit short, but all good nonetheless. Oh, it looks like everybody's moved off now. Everybody had their drink. The impala's got a chance if he's still thirsty. So now that it has gone quiet, I think we'll also move off and let's head to Zimbabwe and Victoria Falls. Well, for a change, it's not only birds after their snack at the safari lodge. We've got a couple of female kudu coming through as well. There you can see what looks like white-backed vultures, maybe hooded vultures. It looks a little bit bald on the head, so that could be them. A marabou stork. I think a yellow-billed stork. Wonder where the crocodile is. See some, I think it's guinea fowl, also going in to have a drink there in the background. Once again, we can hear another chin spot batis. That'll be a red-billed spurfowl making that racket. Can you hear the high-pitched call of another blue waxbill? There's a few of them there, somewhere here near to the camera. So another nice stop in here at Victoria Falls with the usual suspects, but added to that, some kudu, and now there's even some impala walking through in the background there. With that being said, let's change of place and let's head back to Etosha and Okokoyo. There's lots and lots of zebra coming in once again. A few springbok about, making for a wonderful picture. So, and of course, it's quite a bit of wind today. That easterly is blowing, but when it's not blowing, this spot is just sensational for photography, especially when these zebra walk into the water like this and you have the reflections of them on the water while they're drinking, all in a line. It's just beautiful. And the procession continues. As some zebra leave, others arrive. They just keep coming. A little blacksmith lapwing along the shoreline in the foreground. Pretty much at every single waterhole that we go to, there's Egyptian geese and blacksmith lapwing. That you can always count on. So Joanne Mello saying this is awesome that each park installed a camera. Good job. Yeah, I think both from a viewing perspective, also from a security perspective, marketing as well for all the different places that have the cameras. I think it's a fantastic idea and gives us lots of options to jump around to as well. So now that the zebra have started to leave, I think we'll do the same as well. And let's go back to the greater Kruger, but this time to Rosie's pan. And some kuru in for a drink there, as well as an impala. I think they may have already had their drink and starting to move off. This is another good little birding spot as well. I often see lots of the tiny little birds, from the twin spots and waxbills, petilias. Oh, something scared them off there. Or was it the impala that was alarm calling that chased them all off? I got a real fright. Wonder if there's a predator about. I see that one's concerned now. The impala seems to be quite relaxed. I think that was a false alarm. I could be wrong. So just have a bit of a scan about, and you can see those lovely colors changing to winter. All the leaves starting to drop after they've changed color. So just having a scan around and seeing what else is about. You never can be sure unless you check. A little bit quiet for now. All we need is for a leopard to come walking here through the thickets. That would be wonderful. All right, now that it's a bit quiet here, I think we'll head back to the Madikwe Game Reserve and Tau. Nice little group of Ellies coming in. Another youngster as well. And the procession continues, heading for water. They're going to quench their thirst, I'm sure. Now, this is a wonderful little sighting, this breeding herd. Having a good old drink. See the zebra off in the background. A very important business, drinking, especially for elephants. Once again, you can hear the little blue wax bills. Very high-pitched little whistle. Now 19RT92 saying good morning from Texas. Hope all is well with everyone. And good morning, well for us, good afternoon. RT all the way from Texas. Nice to have you on board with us. Wow, that's a tiny little baby, that. Following in behind what seems to be quite a young mom as well. There's a bit of angst in amongst them. I wonder what's going on. So big discussions now. Lots of communicating between the lot of them. This bull, give it with a big notch out of his ear. I don't think I've seen him before. He's had an ear flick there, aggressively. Oh, there seems to be just more and more elephants pulling in here. This is turning into quite a nice sighting. So Yusuf was asking, do any other animals have similar foot structures to elephants? Yusuf, the closest is actually the hyrax. So the dussie, we get the rock dussie and the tree dussie, and also the dugong, but I don't believe that they've got any feet. So the similar foot structure, the similar placenta, similar dental structure as well. All of these add to the scientists believing that they originate from the same ancestors. Obviously, it's a long evolution that's taken place, but yeah, the dussie, a very similar foot structure to the elephant. So Hillary09 was asking, is it true that elephants have been known to use plants medicinally? I think I read it somewhere. So yes, absolutely, Hillary. There's vast intelligence and IQ with especially the older generations of elephants. They pass this on to the youngsters, and a lot of the plants help, as medicine, natural medicine for the animals themselves if they're feeling bad, if they've got injuries, etc. For instance, the sickle bush is like the pharmacy of the bush. And you will find elephants feeding on different plants at certain times of the year to get different kinds of minerals, etc. But also when they've got different ailments as well. And they know which plants will help with what, which is quite incredible. But this kind of use of plants is actually by animals is actually called zoopharmacognosy. It's a behavior in which non-human animals self-medicate by selecting and ingesting or topically applying plants, soils, and insects with medicinal properties to prevent or reduce the harmful effects of pathogens, toxins, and even other animals. And the term derives from Greek roots zoo, meaning animal, and pharmakon, which means drug or medicine, and gnosi, which is knowing. An example of zoopharmacognosy occurs when dogs eat grass to induce vomiting. However, the behavior is more diverse than this, and animals ingest or apply non-foods such as clay, charcoal, and even toxic plants and invertebrates, apparently to prevent parasitic infestation or poisoning. Whether animals truly self-medicate remains a somewhat controversial subject because early evidence is mostly circumstantial or anecdotal. However, more recent examinations have adopted an experimental hypothesis-driven approach. The methods by which animals self-medicate vary but can be classified according to function as prophylactic or preventative before infection or poisoning, or therapeutic after infection to combat the pathogen or poisoning. And the behavior is believed to have widespread adaptive significance. But I think in the case of elephants, I think there's a lot more intelligence involved, and I've definitely seen injured animals, sick animals, feeding on specific plants that are definitely medicinal and would help with their ailments. And it is a known fact with elephants, especially around this. I think that they would be the best sangomas or witch doctors out there, knowing exactly what different trees would help you for different kinds of ailments, and preventative as well. So Richard was also saying that doesn't the Dussie also have mammary glands between the front legs? Excellent observation. Yes, Richard, that's one of the similarities that I did not mention. Both Dussies and elephants have mammary glands just behind the front legs, which is another reason to believe that they're from the same origins. So Billy was asking, how would an elephant lose a chunk of its ear like that? Billy, it's generally as they're walking through the bush, that's probably one of the thinnest parts of their body in terms of the skin, and so it can get hooked on branches and thorns, etc., and it may just tear, and then sometimes it does split further after a small tear, and then it can just get into a big chunk like that. But I would say that that's most likely originated from a tear, and now it looks like a chunk. Okay, so as always, nice stop in here at Taal with all these elephants, but I think it's time to change of place. This time we're going to the Pilanesberg and Kwa Maratani. This isn't too far from the Madikwe Game Reserve, but lovely to pop in here at Pilanesberg and have a nice little breeding herd of elephants, just like at Taal. I think a totally different spot. There's also a lovely birding spot as well. There's lots of these overhanging branches. More blue waxbills whistling away. And tin spot batis as well. There's lots of them in these parts, obviously, between Madikwe and Pilanesberg. And I've just found that another similarity between elephants and hyrax is in fact that the males of both species have internal testes. So not only have the females got a similar placenta, the males have also got the internal testes in both. So now this is from Wikipedia, and they speak of the similarities with the Proboscidea and the Sirenia, which is the two different families. And hyraxes share several unusual characteristics with mammalian orders Proboscidea, the elephants and their extinct relatives, and Sirenia, which is the manatees and the dugongs, which have resulted in they all being placed in the taxon Peningulata. The male hyraxes lack a scrotum, and their testes remain tucked up in their abdominal cavity next to the kidneys, as do those of elephants, manatees, and dugongs. Female hyraxes have a pair of teats near their armpits, as well as 4 teats in their groin. Elephants have a pair of teats near their axilla, and dugongs and manatees have a pair of teats, one located close to each of the front flippers. The tusks of hyraxes develop from the incisor teeth, as do the tusks of elephants. Most mammalian tusks develop from the canines. Hyraxes, like elephants, have flattened nails on the tips of their digits rather than the curved, elongated claws, which you usually see on other mammals. So, and cheetahs and other animals saying that loving this elephantastic show. Glad to have you on board again, and happy that you're enjoying it too. So Ratty Love was saying, isn't it nice how the baby elephant always knows where mom is and stays right by her? If only human kids were so easy to keep track of. Ratty Love, I have to say that it's the calves aren't always like that, and mom has to sometimes sternly put them back in line. That one was a good little elephant, but there are some naughty ones out there as well. Just like humans, we have a lot in common, and that goes for the youngsters as well. You do have some naughty ones, and you have others that are not so naughty and they listen to mom a bit better. But it's nice to have that uniqueness throughout the characteristics of the different individuals. Right, so it seems like we have had elephants all round, and we're going to continue on that vein, but this time we're going to go up to East Africa, Kenya, and Oldonyo. With a beautiful perspective on a big bull. He's not one of the big tuskers that often visit here, but he is a sizable old fellow nonetheless. Such wise old souls. these fellows, and we often have lots of them coming through. We haven't had any breeding herds here. It's only been bulls. I wonder when we will get to see a breeding herd coming through. I'm sure eventually we will. So Patisse McGargan is saying impressive toenails. Yeah, and this guy definitely does have ones. They're standing nice and proud. Very easy to see as well. It's such a wonderful experience here at Old Donyo as well. You don't often get to be so close to elephants, and with them not knowing that you're even watching them makes it all that much better. And this angle looking up at them as well. Everything about it. I just love this waterhole. Seems like he's moving off now. He's had his fill. Okay, so we'll also move off as he's done, and let's head back to the Greater Kruger Park and Rosie's Pan. Lots of little birds here. Looks like we've got cinnamon-breasted. Is it? No. These be yellow-breasted buntings, I think, might be. There's a little blue waxbill with the turquoise. No, these are yellow-fronted canaries. That's what they are. So they're in the finch family, and they're also known as the green singing finch. There's our blue waxbills. So that little bigger one, I think, is a Cape Sparrow, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got yellow-fronted canaries, blue waxbills, and Cape Sparrows. So Holly was asking, do birds bath to get clean or cool down? A little bit of both, Holly. It's important for their feather maintenance to dust bathe, and as well as to bathe in the water. Helps to get rid of any excess oils. But you know, when you find them doing it in the heat of the day like this, it's obviously also helping to keep cool. So a bit of killing two birds with one stone. But yes, I think multifunctional, and I think they really enjoy it. Something chased him off. So the birdies have all flattered off, so let's also move off and go back to Tau. There's still lots of elephants hanging about. Wonderful to see, and that big bull with the big tear in his ear. It's quite a big notch now. There's real interactions going on here. Very close socially, it seems. I wonder if he's trying to woo that female. I'm not sure it's a female. It might be a young male. Just having a bit of argy-bargy with him. Looks like it is a young bull, so I'm just having a little bit of shovey and wrestling, but there's only going to be one winner there. Let's be serious. So Cheryl Cabrera was saying, my granddaughter noticed the name of the waterhole. It's her name, Rosie. Oh, that's fantastic. So I'm sure Rosie gets excited when we go over to Rosie's pan. And we'll hope for some leopard action there or some exciting stuff so that we can spend more time there, Cheryl. And that's nice. Thanks for sending that through. Wow, that big bull's really tolerating that youngster. I think it's all in the name of fun. There we go, big guy. Show him who's boss. It's a big bull, that. I wouldn't take too many chances with him. So Urban Jr. was asking, can elephants give birth to twins? So Urban Jr., yes, they can. There has been a number of incidences and evidence of that. It's not a regularly occurring incident, or it doesn't occur regularly. But it has happened in numerous different places, in the Masai Mara and in Kenya at large, in the Etosha National Park, in the Greater Kruger. And the kinds of rare occurrences are such as that, twins, albinism or leucism is another one. This is where they've got very little pigment or they actually don't have any at all, so they're almost white, like a ghost elephant. They used to often think that the elephants of Etosha were white elephants as well, but after it rained, they realized that they weren't at all. It's just because of the soil that they throw over themselves. But you do actually get some instances with low pigment in those Etosha elephants. So it does happen, and also having twins, but not on a regular basis. This is quite a rare occurrence. So it looks like they've calmed down a little bit in terms of the fight between those two bulls. I think the youngster realizes he doesn't stand a chance. Now the big bull taking more interest in the breeding herd. So what a way with us heading towards the end of the show, to end the show with lots of elephants. And obviously it's been an elephantastic show, so what better way to end it. But we're nearly there. So with that being said, thanks for everybody joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And don't forget that later on there will be the Sunset Safari. And of course I'll be back here again tomorrow, same time, same place. So don't go anywhere for now, and join me once again tomorrow. So thanks to all the viewers for joining us. Thanks to the Wildlife for being the stars of the show. And of course to the WildEarth team that make it all happen. And Dusty Cole saying, thanks, Ralph. Have a good one, everyone. Straight back at you, Dusty Cole. Give it horns, as I always say. See how much bigger this bull is than the rest of them, especially next to that tiny little youngster. Oh, and he's going to show him his little bit of aggression with his flapping ears there. Sternly been told off by mum. So that's just about it from us for now, folks. But like I said, don't go anywhere. Sunset Safari coming your way. So that's it from me for now. Until tomorrow, give it horns, bush greetings, cheers.